This week saw thousands of protesters returning to Maidan Square in Kiev. Supporters of the ultra-nationalist right sector movement have been swarming the streets of the Ukrainian capital with a very clear message.
Poroshenko and Yatsenyuk have come to power, and now they have everything. What do we do now? Revolution is the answer. Revolution, where people could even take up arms.
The protesters in Kiev openly called for the abolition of the Minsk peace deal in eastern Ukraine. The radical group also demanded cabinet ministers and President Poroshenko face a vote of no confidence. The right sector was a key force in the revolution in Ukraine, but quickly turned into a thorn in the side of the current government. You don't have to look all that far back to find examples of the right sector resorting to violence in order to get what it wants. Only a couple of weeks ago, the militia was involved in a gunfight with police in western Ukraine, killing 3 people. The shooting spree enabled the government to launch a full-on manhunt, while the right sector blocked roads and mobilized its military. The row is still ongoing. The US, though, has stepped in, saying all illegal groups must be disarmed.
The use of force and weapons must be reserved exclusively to the Ukrainian government and Ukrainian government institutions.
His words, though, seem to be in contrast with what top officials like John Kerry was saying in the run-up to the overthrow of Ukraine's previous leadership, calling for President Yanukovych to listen to his people. Political analyst Daniel McAdams says Washington's principles have a tendency to shift with its shifting interests.
I think it is very telling that both Jeffrey Pyatt and Victoria Nuland and State Department spokesman last week, all 3 of them said that, hey, this is an internal matter for the Ukrainians to solve with right sector. However they choose to solve it is fine with us. And I think that's very important and a very different message than we heard just over a year ago. Anyone holding their breath for the U.S. foreign policy to be consistent will die very quickly, because the U.S. foreign policy is best defined by situational ethics.
It is RT International. Thanks for joining us on this Sunday. Anger over police brutality and racial injustice in America once again seeing crowds on the streets, this time in the city of Newark in New Jersey. Demonstrators calling for total changes to the criminal justice system. At the same time, in Chicago, mourners gathered to pay their respects to 28-year-old Sandra Bland. She killed herself in police custody last week. Police dashcam footage has been released showing the moment of her detention and arrest.
You mind putting out your cigarette, please? Don't mind.
I'm in my car, but I have to put out my cigarette.
Well, you can step on out now. Step out of the car.
No, you don't have the right. I'm calling my lawyer.
I'm going to yank you out of here.
Okay, you're going to yank me out of my car? Don't touch me.
Get out of the car.
Don't touch me. I'm not under arrest. You don't have the right to take me out of my car.
You are under arrest.
Wow.
Get out of the car.
Really, for a failure to signal. You're doing all of this for
Get over there.
You're about to break my wrist. Can you stop?
Well, Bland was stopped by police for a minor traffic offense. This pretty bad video here, though, recorded by a bystander showing her being pinned to the ground by 1 or more officers. Sandra Bland spoke out on issues of racism. She had just moved to Texas from Chicago for a new job. 3 days after her arrest, Bland was found dead in her cell. According to the autopsy, she hanged herself. We'll play the last known message that she left on a friend's voicemail before she killed herself.
Hey, this is me. I just was able to see the judge. I don't really know. They got me set at a $5,000 bond. I'm still just at a loss for words, honestly, about this whole process. How they're switching lanes with no signal turned into all of this, I don't even know. But I'm still here, so I just call me back when you can.
And following Sandra's death, several arrests were made during a protest in New York. Sandra's family and lots of her supporters don't believe she killed herself. They want a detailed investigation. Civil rights activist Carl Dix believes even with new videos throwing light on Sandra's arrest, it's not clear whether the police officers involved will be reprimanded.
This happens all the time. This time, there is video, and the death of Sandra Bland pushes this out into the public eye. We'll see whether the officer gets punished. He did violate actual law. There's no law that says a cop has the authority to arrest somebody because he doesn't like their attitude. And going further, he tells the person who was taking the video that they had to leave. And the law actually says they don't have to leave.
Well, the Bland case is just one of many examples of police brutality which emerge all too frequently. Many more videos for you right now at RT.com. 10 past the hour here in Moscow. It's RT International. The FIFA World Cup in 2018 has been officially launched as national teams discover their route to Russia following the qualifying draw. And Russia's St. Petersburg, dubbed the Venice of the North, hosted the preliminary draw that turned out to be quite a spectacle. Over 100 teams learning their fate as top footballers and officials made the draw. That included a FIFA president, Sepp Blatter, and the Russian leader, Vladimir Putin.
Work for the final competition is well underway. We are on track. Russia will be a fantastic host. But first, a much longer competition must take place.
The 2018 World Cup is one of our major projects. It's the perfect opportunity to present to the world a multifaceted and open Russia, which can surprise and inspire.
Well, there may still be 3 years to go until the tournament kicks off, but the Cup is already making headlines. RT's Andrew Farmer found out.
There's also a big pot of World Cup related stories the media like to get their teeth into, and they've already drawn out a familiar headline to splash across their front pages.
2018 FIFA World Cup, ladies and gentlemen, will be organised in Russia.
Allegations go hand in hand with the World Cup of late. Russia's case is no exception, with its bid to host the tournament part of a probe by Swiss prosecutors. Although Russian authorities insist the bid was clean and the tournament will go ahead. Long before this latest FIFA scandal took hold, there were corruption allegations surrounding the 2010 World Cup in South Africa too. Racism is another hot topic and affected last year's tournament in Brazil. This time, it's Russia's turn. One black player says he's often verbally abused in the domestic Russian Premier League, and all eyes are again on the country's authorities to clean up behaviour on the terraces.
The first step is done in terms of acknowledging. I see a certain progress in that respect. There has been as well the appointment of a specialist at the Russian Football Union to tackle discrimination in Russian football.
And then there is the infrastructure. We are inside the impressive Zenit Arena, which should be finished this time next year, complete with a retractable roof and also a retractable pitch. It will be one of 12 stadiums used for the Russian World Cup, and so far progress seems to be on track. And finally, there's accommodation. Well, Russia has axed plans to build 25 new hotels, but don't worry, because if you can't afford to stay in luxury like this, we are told there'll be plenty of rooms in places like dormitories at universities and also campsites. Don't fret about camping either, because the weather in Russia during the summer is generally between 20 and 25 degrees centigrade, although I would recommend bringing a brolly, because there's always a good chance you'll get caught in a shower. However, seeing dark clouds over a world sporting event does please some. We shouldn't forget the hunt for a sensation by international media at last year's Sochi Olympics.
A BBC reporter tweeted this photo of a men's room at one Olympic venue. It shows two toilets side by side.
Well, it's a hoax.
We think this is a hoax.
To be fair, much of the criticism was forgotten when the event finally got underway, although for the Russia 2018 World Cup, that still means a 3-year wait. Andrew Farmer for RT, St. Petersburg.
Well, Greece has still not entered calm waters, despite reaching a deal with its EU creditors. We'll give you more details on that after the break with the rest of this week's top worldwide headlines.